I understood, because you're talking to somebody who has gone to Jamaica more than 10 times. You're talking to somebody who lived in Rome. And like typically when you talk about aggressive men, those are the two stereotypes that I've encountered talking with people. They're like, Jamaican men are aggressive, Roman men are aggressive. They had nothing, in my opinion, they had nothing on these Zanzibar men. Hey travelers, welcome to Traveling with Amadi. If you're new to my channel, I revisit some of my fun and exciting times during my travel while I help you out on yours. In today's video, it's going to be a little bit interesting. I am going to be talking about Zanzibar and if I would recommend it for you to go as a solo traveler. So a little bit of background. I recently went to Zanzibar for 11 days, 9 full days to be specific, and I went to 3 different areas. I went to Nungwi for 3 days, I went to Stone Town for 3 days, as well as Paje for 3 days. So these areas have kind of a little different vibe, all have a beach connected because Zanzibar is an island, and I want to talk about like my experience and if I would suggest, you gotta stay towards the end, if I would suggest a women solo travel trip. Just for context, I traveled by myself, and last time I checked, I'm a woman and being by yourself is solo, so that's why we're talking about it. All right, let's get into it. So like I said, I went to Zanzibar recently. I wanted to travel for my birthday. Like this was my big 3-0 and I wanted to do something different. I still have like this deep desire to go to Puerto Rico as I'm like learning my Spanish. So Puerto Rico is definitely going to be a trip that I go on. But I was just like, it's my 30th, and I think I've been making that excuse for like a long time. Like I've been buying a lot of stuff, I've been eating out more, and I'm like, well, it's my 30th. But that definitely gets put into the bucket. I was just like, it's my 30th, I want to do it big. So I decided to go to Zanzibar. So if you do not know, I currently live in the East Coast of the United States, Pennsylvania to be specific. And because of that, going to East Africa costs a pretty penny. So I was very adamant to make my experience the best experience that I could make it. And so what I want to do is, so we could have some form of structure within this conversation, is like break down my experience within categories. I'm going to be talking about location, safety, price, tours and activities, language, transportation, and then we're gonna get into my final thoughts at the end. Okay, so you have to wait, you have to understand, you have to take this journey with me to the end of the video. So comment below if you're just interested in going to Zanzibar just in general, whether it's solo, whether it's a girls trip, whether it is a guys trip. I definitely saw a couple of those as well. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in, because I'm definitely going to be giving more videos about like my experience, how much I paid for Zanzibar, a vlog of things that I did. So I want to know like what kind of things you're interested in learning about. So the first piece is location. So like I said, I went to 3 different areas. The first place I went to was Nungwi. So this is a beach town, and the first thing that I noticed is that it wasn't really walkable, and walkability is so important to me because I'm cheap at certain things and I do not like to pay for transportation. I like to be bopping around in the town, so having to pay for transportation puts a little bit dumper on my budget. So being able to walk around when I'm in a place that I have paid hundreds of dollars to get to is really helpful. I did the best research that I could, and it didn't seem like it was hard to get around, but I'll show you a video of the area that I was located in. The government had taken over one side of the street recently, and then as well as the area, or the centralized area, there were no lights and it wasn't really like a lot of engagement and activity, which made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. The beach itself, where I was located, was right near the beach. Literally, this is the restaurant hotel. Sorry, this is the hotel's restaurant, and then like a couple of steps, like maybe a minute, 2 minutes, that's the beach. So the beach itself was an experience. Okay, I'll put my video that I made on TikTok so you can understand a little bit of what I was talking about. It was a lot. And then just in general, if it's a beach town, I like to experience different types of food. There weren't a lot of restaurants on the beach or in the beach area that I was located in. They had a kind of like a strip area of foods that were offered, but it wasn't a lot of options for me. Or like a beach club. I love a beach club, like a beach club or a bar that was on the beach. Now, Stone Town. So Stone Town was definitely more of a cultural center, and just to be respectful of culture, just acknowledging that Zanzibar is a Muslim country, just being respectful of that. It's hard to navigate if you don't know where you're going and if your GPS is not working. That's me. So I was thankful enough to befriend people, and we kind of like navigated our way. So the first day I befriended a tour guide, so he came with me to eat food, and he also came with me to the food market. So that was very, very nice. And the next day I had befriended, I low-key kind of like went on a date, Lord Jesus. That's a, let me know if you want story time for that. But I met up with a guy, and we ended up going to the food market again, and then going to 2 different clubs. So that's one thing that I did like about Stone Town. If you're with people, it's easier to navigate, and I think that kind of made me a little bit like, I don't like it, because I wanted to be able like to not depend on somebody to like take me out, show me where to go. But it was definitely like knowing somebody in Zanzibar knowing somebody in Stone Town is very helpful, because the alleyways don't have lights, and it's like definitely like it gives very colonial town. So like if you didn't know where you're going, it's a wrap. But in terms of food, definitely. And in terms of nightlife, definitely as well. And like my grandma self was ready to party at like 8 o'clock. They said, nah, sweets, we start at 11, like go home. So I really had to wait in my hotel until 11 o'clock to go back outside. It was a whole thing. But that was my experience in Stone Town. And then in Paje, so in Paje it's also a beach town, but one has more lights around. And it had more local people, and the beach had more places to eat, and I really appreciated that. They were like really, really nice, fancy places to eat at night, so I was really appreciative of that. And then you had more access to like local food, and I felt like that's kind of what Nungwi was missing, because it was so touristy. Like the best local-ish food that I was getting was like fried fish, but it definitely catered to the tourists, so it didn't feel like I was somewhere else. But in Paje, it felt like I was in another country, and that's the feel that I want to feel. Like I want a cultural exchange, and I want to feel like I'm engaging with local people. I got my nails done, even though one fell out. Don't laugh at me. But I went to the nail salon. I was chatting it up with the people who were doing hair, like, and they told me a good place to eat my last night. So I like that. And another thing in terms of like location and area and all that stuff, it was definitely male dominated. Like the women weren't outside, okay? The women were not outside. Like I saw more women though, I will say. I did see more women in Stone Town and Paje than I did in Nungwi. I did not see women. Like I did not see women. And that made me uncomfortable, because I'm like, if the only women I see are tourists, it made me feel weird. But in terms of like Paje, like there was a lot of women, because I was noticing that a good amount of women in Paje were not wearing like a hijab, and I was just like, oh, what's up with that? And they were like, oh, most of these people are coming from the mainland of Tanzania, and they're coming here to work because they know like Zanzibar is a very touristy area to go so they can make money here. So I was just like, oh, that's interesting. So it was more Christian women that were coming, or coming from a Christian country, coming to work, so they wouldn't wear anything on their head. So that was interesting to know as well. So let's talk about safety. So I think like the conversation, and I was having this conversation with a guy from London who had traveled here with his friend, and he was saying like, and he was two black guys from London, and he was communicating like, oh, it's safe, it's safe, it's safe, it's safe. And I was like, safety is like an interesting concept, right? Because like, no, you might not feel like you're gonna get your arm chopped off, but do you feel comfortable walking down the street? And personally for me, I can acknowledge that I could walk down the street. I could acknowledge that I didn't feel like somebody was going to threaten my life, but my level of comfortability was very, very, very low. And it was because of the constant engagement of men. And like I said, I did not see a lot of women. Yes, I saw more women in Stone Town and Paje, but at the same time, the interaction with those women were trying to have me buy something as well. So it was constantly an inundation of people trying to sell you things and like aggressively sell you things. And for me, I thought I understood, because you're talking to somebody who has gone to Jamaica more than 10 times. You're talking to somebody who lived in Rome. And like typically when you talk about aggressive men, those are the two stereotypes that I've encountered talking with people. That like Jamaican men are aggressive, Roman men are aggressive. They had nothing, in my opinion, they had nothing on these Zanzibar men. Now, don't get me wrong. Did I meet Zanzibar men who were nice? Yes. Did I meet Zanzibar men who were kind? Yes. Did I meet Zanzibar men who were respectful? Absolutely. Like I said, I fake went on a date. I wasn't going to go on a date with this dude if he wasn't going to be respectful to me. In addition to that, the level of aggression when like you're on a beach and you're trying to chill out and you're just trying to vibe was crazy. And we also have to put the additional layer of sex work, like in sex tourism. Like, and I'm like, my mission is to make a video about these Maasais. Like, we're not talking about Maasais on the mainland. We're talking about specifically beach boys, Zanzibarian Maasais. Like, they wanted you to do that thing with them, okay? So it's just like, I don't want what you're selling. Literally, I do not want what you're selling. So it was just like this level of uncomfortability of I can't even be still. I cannot be still. I have to fake that I'm asleep for y'all to not talk to me. So that doesn't make me feel safe. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. That doesn't make me feel like I want to engage. And then on top of that, when you don't have walkable areas, when you don't have areas where you feel comfortable to navigate, because my data was not working the way that it needed to work on top of that as well. So a lot of these streets are not lit. A lot of these streets are hard to navigate because I was either in like colonial alleyways or in villages. So it was just like, yeah, like I felt more comfortable like getting a taxi. I felt more comfortable, you know, like I didn't even feel comfortable like walking 10 minutes down the road. And like, what's a 10-minute for a city girl? Like 10 minutes down the road is nothing. Like what? But there was a level of uncomfortability because like, this is not my hood. This is not my place. This is not my space. And I did not feel as safe as I could have felt. And I have such like a deep appreciation now for Jamaica because like making that juxtaposition, because I had just gone, granted, I will acknowledge that I went to Jamaica with a man, and I knew that it was going to be a different experience because I went to Jamaica with a man compared to my experiences just simply walking alone in the daylight, walking a straight route down Hope Road, knowing exactly where I was going, and wearing shorts, and the amount of harassment that I would receive, crazy. And we're talking about the middle of summer. Like, I just want to wear my shorts and mind my business. It's not my fault that I got a little something in the bag. It's not my fault. It's not my fault, sir. Leave me alone. But it was not as intense. I literally had 2 occasions where somebody followed me. Like, this old man saw me and I asked him for directions, and then he started to walk with me. And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And he kept on saying, like, pole, like, slow down, like, slowly, slowly. And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Like, it's hot as shit. Excuse me. It's hot as hell. And, like, I don't want you following me in these alleyways. Like, leave me alone. I'm just trying to get to some education. I was just trying to go to the slave museum. Okay? Stop. Don't follow me. I had another instance where somebody was following me when I was trying to find the beach. Like, I didn't even ask him questions. I'm just walking, minding my business and walking this way, and he wanted to follow me. And I think also, like, I didn't put in perspective because, once again, I was like, it's my birthday. It's my big 3-0. I'm doing it because it's my birthday. My hair was red. Like, I'll put a picture up there somewhere. So I decided to do ginger with my hair, and that's a whole story of getting my hair done. I did it myself. But that made me stand out even more. And it was, like, frustrating because it's like, shit, I can't. Like, I can't hide. I'm there. Like, you know it's me. I'm the only black woman in these streets with red hair. Like, it's me. So that was kind of difficult as well. All right, sorry, that was my long diatribe of, like, safety and how I felt. And once again, this is my experience. And once again, I have traveled to countries by myself at this point. This was, like, my 4th country that I had traveled alone. I've been to Mexico by myself. I've been to Jamaica by myself. I've been to, I'm missing a place. Where am I? Colombia. Oh, thank you. So I've been to these areas by myself, and, like, I have not had that, like, experience. But yeah. And these are all, and also I had been to a African country that was Muslim. I've been to Egypt. But I will say, like, one, we were hanging around Egyptian men because my friend at the time, her boyfriend was Egyptian. She was half Egyptian as well. So we were hanging around Egyptian men at night, and so who knew the way. And I had somebody with me, so it was, like, a total different experience than this. But also we had somebody to help us navigate. We had a man, to help us navigate. So that was, like, a different experience. All right, so now we're going to talk about price. Because it wasn't a lot of walkability, I had to buy more taxis and transportation than expected, because I already knew that it was going to be some form of transportation being spent, because I was staying in 3 areas. And if you know me, I like to experience a place because I never know when's the next time I'm going to be able to experience it. So I want to see the things. And also I think it's helpful because I can then bring it back to y'all and let you know, like, the experience, the vibes. Also, I noticed that I had to go to the ATM more often than expected. There was always, I like paying with my credit card, like, because I know that it's the most safest thing. Also, that I don't get charged for international fees, all this stuff. I'm not trying to do an ad for my credit card, but I, like, prefer that. Also, if it gets lost, I'm okay. Like, just, like, very much, for me personally, benefits of, like, just utilizing my credit card when I'm there. But there was always, like, some issue with the credit card machine. Like, either the internet was Child, the internet, that was the thing. Either the internet wasn't working or they didn't have a card machine. So I found myself going to the ATM more often than I would like to. And once again, I'm not comfortable with walking around with cash. That's just not me. When I was in a relationship, I appreciated that my boyfriend at the time liked to walk around with cash, because I was just like, hey babe, can you pay for this? Because I just don't feel comfortable. I like, if somebody want to get me, shit, they got me. You know what I mean? I can't cancel $80 that you stole. Like, you stole my $80. Like, I just gotta give it up to the jokes. Like, yeah, no. Tours. So there were a lot of things to do, especially like water-centered sports. So you could do like the sunset cruise on the boats. You could do scuba diving. You could do like going to see the dolphins, going to do the turtles, all that stuff. I was cool with, like, because I was like reading about like the ethical treatments of these dolphin tours. I'm like, I don't want to be unethical as much as I can be, you know. So I was like, I'm kind of cool on it. But there's a lot of activity. I did most of my activities, so like, fun tip, I did most of my activities in Stone Town because it was the least expensive like drop off, because Stone Town is like close to the airport. A lot of the tours have like cheaper like transportation if they're dropping you off at Stone Town. So like, I did Nakapenda, I did the prison island all in the same day, as well as my favorite excursion for the trip is Mamas of Zanzibar. I really love my experience. Like, and it was just like I said, like, the women weren't outside, so it was really great to just hang and be, because the women be cooking. That's what the women are in. The women are at home, okay? The women are cooking up the meals, and that's where a lot of the women are. So it was really cool to like learn how to cook like traditional Zanzibarian food, as well as just be with like that women energy. We was just like in the village just vibing. Like, we went to the market. It was just like a great cultural exchange, and it was just like really amazing to hear the story of the founder of the initiative. Like, she came to this area after a divorce and restarting her life over with children. It's just like, it was just very much good vibes. Like, I did not know half of what the mamas were talking about, but I still bangs with them. It's just like, sometimes certain things, like, you don't need to like know exactly what they're talking about to understand what they're talking about. So I was showing them like my mom, like pictures of my mom and my family, and I was getting introduced to some of their family, like, because they're from this area. So when we talk about things to do, there's definitely a myriad of things that you can do within Zanzibar. So I will acknowledge that. Language. So it was easy to speak with everybody. So most people in the main areas, and specifically in the tourist areas, spoke English. I will say that when you are in the more like village areas, you might not find people who are speaking English. So the main language that is spoken is Swahili. So I learned a couple of words like nakupenda, rafiki. So like certain words. So like my North Star, and I know this is really crazy, but Disney birthed me, but my North Star was the Lion King, because like rafiki means friends, nakupenda means love, pole pole means slowly, jambo. So trying to learn some of the greetings, Swahili greetings, so I could like be more immersed into it. I did have an encounter when I was lost and the old man was following me, and I was trying to find this museum. I went to the police station, not to snitch or anything, but I went to the police station because I was like, oh, they would know where I need to go. And obviously I was speaking English, and the police officer kind of scolded me, and he was just like, why don't you know Swahili? Like, you come here and you don't know how to speak it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, he's not wrong, but also, was there a twinge of misogyny in there? probably, right? Like, I don't think he would have said it like with that vigor, with that attitude, with that, if I was a man, right? And that was a vibe that I was getting. But he's not wrong in the case of like, you should know at least how to communicate if you're coming to another country. But outside of that encounter, everybody else was able to speak English with me, so I definitely appreciated that. And then I think I already spoke on transportation, but just reiterating, I had to order a lot of more cabs, a lot of more tuk-tuks, like rickshaws, and all of those things, more than expected. And similar to other countries, it's a haggle. And that's another reason why I'm just like so anti-transportation. I'm just like, I'm not trying to haggle with you every single time I want to get in the car. That's like, I know Uber is not the best thing because it's capitalism and all that stuff, but Uber, I don't have to argue you down for a price. You present a price, I either take it or I don't. Like, me having to like go back and forth with some random ass man to get in his car and hope I get where I need to get, it's just like, it's not necessarily the move that I would like or that I would want. So I dislike the haggling process, because even in Egypt, I prefer Egypt. Like, Egypt, they had Kareem and they had Uber. No haggling. Did they know where they were going? No, because they would turn off their GPS midway, but that's a whole different story. And if you want it, let me know. But I just prefer not to go back and forth with somebody. I prefer like a set price, and then it is what it is. Do I have a good haggle game? I don't know. You put it in the comments. Do you think you have a good haggle game? Do you think you can haggle somebody to the cheapest price? For me, I think I do decent. I'd be like, it is what it is. What's up? You know, but I don't do that back and forth. I'm not good with the back and forth. I will say that. Okay, final thoughts. Overall, would I recommend Zanzibar as a place for a woman to travel solo? No. Like, sorry, not sorry, but no, I wouldn't. From the experience that I've had, like I said, it was my 30th, so I spent a lot of money to get there. I made sure that I had the best experience that I could, and I made sure to befriend people so y'all could help me navigate here and there and everywhere else. I know deep down in my heart, I would have had a so much better time if I had somebody to play off with, if I had somebody to kind of like block the people off with. So I wouldn't suggest for you to go independently alone, especially for a couple of reasons. Now hear me out. So especially for these couple of reasons. One, if you're coming from like the Northeast area of America, I definitely would say it's not that cheap. My ticket was cheap for $1,100. Granted, in different times, in different places, it'll be cheaper. It's gonna be cheaper in like the rainy season. I saw like $600, but in like high season, like I think the cheapest you're probably gonna get, especially landing in Zanzibar and not Dar es Salaam, which is a 2-hour boat ride trip, and apparently it can be choppy, is like 890. So it's not a cheap trip, and it's a far trip too, right? Like, I was in the air for 14 hours and then took another plane for 2 hours. So overall, 16 hours. I know math, thank you. 16 hours in the sky. So it is long on your body and it's long on your pockets. So if you want something cute, cheap, and like Instagrammable, that's not the place. It is Instagrammable though, so I will put that. It is like very beautiful, like one of the best waters that I've ever been to. I will say that. If you don't know how to navigate strangers, right, like encountering strangers and kind of like being a little bully and be like, nah, leave me alone, like if that's something that you don't know how to navigate well, I definitely would not suggest that. If you're not accustomed to Muslim culture, I definitely wouldn't suggest that as well. Once again, I had already traveled to Egypt, which is a a Muslim country, and like living in Philadelphia, I encountered and I taught a lot of Muslim people, so it wasn't unfamiliar to me, like being respectful of Muslim culture. Also, if you're not an experienced solo traveler, like I wouldn't suggest that either. And I will say, like, solo traveling is still semi-new to me as well. I've only solo traveled to 4 countries, and I'm just telling you my experience with these areas. But now I feel like I have solo traveled to East Africa, and I have come back like I feel like I'm a soldier. All right, I feel like I'm a warrior. Like, you can't tell me nothing. I did my time. All right. But if you've never experienced that, or you've never done that, like, it's definitely gonna be hard. It's definitely gonna be a culture shock. So I definitely would say not to not go, but I definitely say this is not the best place to go independently by yourself. I think, like, as a Black woman, just in general, Zanzibar is a nice place. You see your people, you feel connected. The ongoing joke when I was at Mama Zanzibar is like a lot of the food that I was eating, whether it was the fried fish, the spinach, which was like very familiar. Like, I had experienced this cuisine, like living in a Jamaican household and going to Jamaica. Like, it tasted like callaloo, it tasted like stews that I was familiar with, and it was just like very, very familiar, like, flavor profiles. So it's definitely makes you feel connected and close to your heritage and your roots, especially if you are from the diaspora. So I wouldn't say as a Black woman not to go. I would say as a solo traveler to not go, because it's gonna tamper your experience. That, in my personal opinion. So if you do not care, and just like an extra bonus, if you do not care what I say, you're like, Amadi, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna solo travel here. Like, I don't care what you're saying. Okay, listen to some suggestions. I would say, if you do decide to not heed my warning and solo travel by yourself, here are a couple of suggestions for you. I would definitely say do not do Nangwe, do Kenwa instead, and stay at a resort in Kenwa. So Kenwa is one of the most beautiful beaches within Zanzibar, and you're gonna get the vibes of the boats, you're gonna get the cruises, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get that. And it's just like a better beach. It's just a better beach. And I say resorts because then that kind of like helps you like not have to navigate your day-to-day, like, where am I gonna go eat, where am I gonna go get this and that. Like, a resort will have a lot of those things, so you don't have to navigate the ins and outs of the area. And my other suggestion is do 2 or 3 days at Stone Town. You're gonna get a different vibe, you're gonna get a different culture, you're gonna get more like food, you're gonna get more cultural foods than you'll get in the Kenwa resort area, and you're going to be able to be closer to other excursions within Zanzibar. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. This video was so long, but I think it was helpful, and I think, like, if I was doing my research and I saw this video, like, it kind of would like kind of help me navigate a little bit better if I made the decision to still go to Zanzibar, or it would make me change my decision and go somewhere else, and maybe go to Zanzibar with a partner or somebody I know who is gonna come with me. So once again, this channel is made to help. It's made to like keep you informed and get you hip, so you are traveling smarter, not harder. I put a lot of work into this video. I am tired at this point. I'm going to bed. It's like 11 o'clock at night at this point. Enjoy this video. Make sure you comment at the bottom and stay tuned to what's coming up next. Bye.